Shoddy Gakta Doan Ogli Karam Makri War Kyovar Arjan Shakrau Guguahatash Some Spergo Mean Rail Kogak Bishfun War Favrak Shin Hundla Scutchin War Glare of Chiak Dunla Bakyum Yarkiv Na hebar so shallow can you run away? Shin allegra foil a top we all again. Windows low are tender on me one. Favorites face here, Shinshir fasta ni aker von shir anak von troi anak him savar well leganar gilhon wash no sail the gunnash greg will lawak no biler shall kani oran the way kush pantare Arardis lev baho harshen shiroven Eglawa putrim van sabra shen taho sahego shoka baho asrio dargen nahi ganum bushiro emir shar shomarid begun yanot shalop kanyi ora Shin allegra foil a top we all again. Windows low are tender on the glen. Favorites face here, Shinshir fasta, Niaker von Shiran. Control Anak him Savar Will Leganar Gilhon Wash no sin Laguna Shrek Wilawak no Biler Shalapani or on a bed
When boyhood's fire was in my blood, I read of ancient freemen for Greece and Rome, who bravely stood 300 men and treemen. And then I prayed I yet might see our feathers rent in twain, and Ireland long a province be, a nation once again, a nation once again, a nation once again, and Ireland long a province be, a nation once again. And from that time through wildest woe, I held a shone of firelight. Nor could love's brightest summer glow outshine that solemn starlight. It seemed to watch above my head in forum, field and plain. Its angel's voice sang round my bed, a nation once again, a nation once again, a nation once again, and Ireland long a province be, a nation once again. It whispered tune that freedom's ark and service.
The native Irish sword is the Clontarf, a short 2-foot blade worn at the hip. Each warrior trains to wield it in either hand. Some even carry two into battle, slashing right and left. The lucky few wield Viking swords, obtained in trade or by stripping the dead in battle. They live like the heroes in the sagas of Brian's childhood, always on the move, taking shelter in caves, eating whatever they can glean by hunting or raiding. Sweeping down on an outpost or luring a garrison into the forest, Brian's ragtag army takes its toll on the Vikings. Battle takes its own toll on Brian. In such a small band, each casualty is a defeat he can't afford, as his scribe records.
Great were the hardships Brian endured. Bad food and bad bedding on the wet, noddy roots of his own country. It is said that the foreigners killed many of his followers, so that only 15 survived.
In the year 964, when Brian's army is on the verge of extinction, his fortunes turn. Emboldened by his lone stand against the Vikings, Brian's brother decides to join him. Not only is the Dalcash tribe behind Brian, young nobles from throughout Munster flock to his side. In the struggle against the Vikings, this band, a few hundred strong, will form the core of his army. They serve not because they have to, but because they wish to. Brian has proven himself a leader. In return, he will reward his followers with the spoils of battle. Brian's warriors are still not as strong as the Vikings of Limerick, but they may be more crafty. One day in 968, Brian sends out a raiding party to bait the foe. Confident in their numbers, the Vikings leave the safety of their fortress in pursuit. On a small rise called Silkbeard, the rest of Brian's army lies in wait. What they lack in strength, they will make up for with surprise. The Vikings march deeper into the wood. Suddenly, the Irish spring their trap. In the tangled forest, the Vikings cannot use their favorite tactic, the wall of shields. Fighting alone, no Viking can stand against the long Irish battle axe. By midday, the Vikings flee in disorder, relentlessly pursued by Brian's men. He has avenged his father's death and made himself a warrior to be reckoned with. An even greater prize awaits Brian, the Viking city of Limerick, rich and defenseless. Now it's the turn of the Irish to plunder.
The fortress and the good town they reduced to a cloud of smoke and red fire. All the captives were assembled. Everyone fit for war was killed, and everyone else enslaved.
On the heels of success, tragedy follows. A rival chief murders Brian's brother. Brian has lost his closest ally.
My heart shall burst within my breast unless I avenge this great king. They shall forfeit life for this deed, or I shall perish by a violent death.
True to his word, Briain pursues his brother's killers. In a remote monastery, they have taken refuge, and there he takes his revenge. In 976, Briain takes his brother's place. At the Rock of Cashel, he receives the crown of Munster. By now, Briain grasps that Ireland's greatest enemy lies within. So long as the Irish fight one another, the Vikings can never be driven out. Wearing his new crown, Briain nurses a fresh ambition to unite Ireland under his rule. Tribe by tribe, his kingdom grows. Through clever diplomacy and brutal warfare, he extends his power throughout Ireland. Entire kingdoms submit. Connacht, Meath, and his old enemy Leinster, whose king pays Briain a crippling tribute. In the year 1002, in the hills of Munster, a new summit is scaled. Briain has claimed the ancient title of Ardre, High King. Ireland now has in fact what it once had only in theory, one ruler. For the next decade, Ireland enjoys unfamiliar gifts, peace and prosperity. Briain rebuilds the churches and restores plundered treasure. He constructs roads, bridges, and waterways throughout Ireland. To ensure the coast is no longer troubled by Viking raiders, Briain enlarges his navy, based on the River Shannon. All the while, former rivals, surrendering but not submitting, bide their time. As Briain enters his 8th decade, old enemies imagine the old man weak. In 1013, the King of Leinster forges a pact with Sigtrygg Silkbeard, the Viking king of Dublin, and both provinces rise in rebellion. The rebels have misjudged the old man. Briain spends the winter raising an army. From all over Ireland, loyal subjects answer the High King's call to war. Briain even enlists Viking mercenaries, the finest horsemen in the land. The rebels recruit just as furiously. The Viking Sigtrygg Silkbeard sends for help to his brethren across the sea. Earl Surgard the Stout of Orkney, Brodir of Man. By the spring of 1014, Dublin Bay is swarming with Viking longships. It is the greatest force ever seen on the Irish seas. In Briain's camp, on the eve of battle, the old warrior speaks to his men. At dawn will come their chance to rid Ireland of the Vikings once and for all. North of Dublin, at a place called Clontarf, a Viking army beaches its ships. Here on Good Friday, 6,000 heathens face 6,000 Christians. Too old to fight, Briain pins his hopes and the command on his son Murchad. Murchad himself will strike the first blow. The great battle opens with a contest between champions, waged in the no-man's land between the armies. Already a great warrior, Murchad now proves himself a worthy leader.
Step on! Step on! Step on! Step on! Step on! Step on!
Gradually, the two armies draw closer. In both armies, the best warriors march in front. Shoulder to shoulder, they form a solid wall of shields. On the flanks and rear of the Irish line march the kerns, farmers by trade, soldiers for the day, hurling javelins, darts, slingshots, and stones.
They are quicker and more expert than any other people in throwing stones, and such stones do great damage to the enemy on engagement.
As the armies collide, the battle turns into a brawl. Swinging a sword in each hand, Murchad strikes a great blow by cutting down a Viking chieftain, Earl Surgard the Stout. Briain sees the Viking fall, but then Murchad's flag falls too. The old man's son is dead.
The two sides made a furious, smashing onset upon each other, and there arose a frightful screaming and fluttering above their heads as birds and the demons awaited their prey.
All through the day, the battle rages, and the casualties mount. By evening, the Irish break through the enemy line. The Vikings flee toward their ships and safety, but this Good Friday is a black day for them. At Dublin Bay, the tide has come in. The Vikings are cut off and cut down. At the water's edge, the Vikings give up their claim to Ireland. Brian gives thanks to God for his victory, yet in his hour of triumph, disaster strikes. In the confusion of battle, Brodir of Man and a handful of Vikings escape and stumble upon the king. Hardly believing his luck, Brodir falls upon Brian's bodyguard and cuts his way through. Before the old man is even aware, Brodir beheads him. So passed the greatest warrior and greatest Irishman of his age. When Brian's men captured Brodir, they were so enraged that they tied him to a tree with his own intestines. Brian died in his finest hour. He had united his people and rid his country of invaders. For the first time, and for the only time, all Ireland had been set free.